everybody, welcome back to Devils United. Finally, it's time for a preview rather than the odd transfer show. We're back though, we're back. We have got Andy and Chloe again with me today. How are you doing, Andy?
I'm okay, I'm surviving. As always, worked from home today, so that's normally good for other people. For me, it means I'm devoid of human contact, so it's nice to see both of you.
Good to see you. It's been a while. Chloe, how are you doing?
Yeah, doing well. Busy at work like usual, but only 2 more days in, and then I've got a nice 10 days off.
Yep, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Some time off for you. I'm looking for some time off next month as well, so that'll be good. So let's have a see in the chat. Good evening, Rather. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. I'm not exactly pleased with the I will call it an insult, like Prime Georgia Stanway with the tough tackles. I think that's more insulting more than anything. Big up to the best front three. Hey there, Reese. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Yep, just as Reese said, hit the like, share, subscribe to the channel as well. And hey there as well, Liam. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. So it is going to be an interesting one. Chloe, do you know much about the Portuguese league for the women? Just to ask.
I know a little bit about the Portuguese league, but it's never shown. I can never find anywhere to watch it, so it's a hard one. But I have seen little bits of highlights that are glancing around. So the top team in the Portuguese league is Benfica. You might know this because with you being a Sporting Lisbon fan, Maisy, but do Sporting Lisbon have a women's team?
Yes, so Sporting are around about the top 3 best teams, and it's a bit like the best way to describe the Portuguese league for the women, for me, is a bit how you describe the Scottish league, where it's you've got a table, and then halfway through the season they split it for the best 6 teams, and then the relegation teams as well.
Yeah, it's exactly what Italy do as well. So they do, like you just said, in the Portuguese league, they split off. So you have the top 6 where it's like the championship battle, and then they have the bottom 6 where it's the relegation battle. So even though, say, Roma, because Roma were top when it was that, Juventus was still behind them and still could have won the league. But obviously with losses and stuff, Roma ended up winning it. But it was that I think for me that's a good way to do it, where you're splitting up, but you're playing the same top teams at least 4 times in a season, and then you play this like you're playing them in cup matches and everything. So I think Juventus ended up playing Roma about 5-6 times in last season. So that bit is where you get your disadvantage, and also if you've not got that like second division and you've only got that top division, you're not having that consistency of playing different teams. But obviously now they are having them different teams. They are having more leagues. So obviously if you have that relegation battle, you are going to have that difference of teams going up and down. But yeah, hopefully we can find somewhere where we'll be able to watch the Portuguese league, because I have heard good things about it, and especially with Benfica. And is she frozen? Yeah, I think she's frozen.
Yeah, looks like it. Either that or she's deep in thought. While you were talking, I just thought the squad and the clubs they play for, which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah. I'm back. Sorry about that. Like, my internet is so shocking these days. Like,
Don't worry.
Did you get your thoughts? Did you get your thoughts on the Portuguese league as well, Andy? Because I went for a few minutes.
No. Chloe was still explaining things. But what I was just saying was that I've just found the squad with the corresponding clubs that they play for, which is kind of interesting. So that's that's the squad. It's 4-4-2 actually. I've got it there.
Oh, you brought it up.
Private chat. So I don't know if you can bring it up, but the player squad, some of the clubs might make more sense to you, Maisy, but there's a lot of them play in Italy and Spain, it looks like, and quite a lot of sporting players actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, what it is. The thing is with Sporting as well, they've recently won the equivalent of the FA Cup. this year in Portugal, and I was literally thinking, oh, I'd absolutely love to go. It was literally, you never guess how much it cost. It literally cost €1 to €2 to watch it, the final.
Let's go. Next season, Maisy.
Yeah. Where's Savat? Or what club's that? Yeah.
So that's Juventus played him. I think it's Czech Republic. I think it's Czech Republic. They played him in the Champions League.
So we've got some Benfica, Braga. That sounds Czech as well, doesn't it? Benfica, Sevilla, Alaves is Spain, isn't it? Real Sociedad is Spain, Levante, Spain. But then look at that Sporting, Maisy, basically the Sporting forward.
Yeah.
Ana Borges.
Mm-hmm. Some great players there, though. Jessica Da Silva is very good. Ana Borges, very good as well. And Carolina Mendes, she's very good as well.
Yeah. I know we'll probably touch on the team as well anyway, but if a lot of people aren't familiar with the players, the Portuguese players, if you go back a few years into the WSL, Ana Borges, who's now playing for Sporting Lisbon, actually played for Chelsea back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a very good player for Chelsea, but obviously went off to do others, like play elsewhere and stuff. But yeah, if you want to look at a player and get yourself into the WSL, it's Ana Borges, because she's, like Maisy said, a cracking player.
I think just to sort of open it up, and I know this isn't directly relevant, but obviously DAZN next season has got the Spanish league, has now got the Bundesliga as well, the Frau Bundesliga, which is really exciting. It's probably going to kill Atta Sports off, to be honest. The Women's Champions League, and for, I don't know if there's any NFL fans in the comments, the NFL as well. So I've managed to get it all together for £100 a year because I've done the annual thing. So that's really, really good. I do wonder whether or not DAZN are going to pick up this league as well and just become like a hub for women's football. It wouldn't be a bad idea, because I remember reading online. I'm not a boxing fan. I think Maisy, you might have watched it back in the day, but a boxing fan, weren't you?
Yeah, I've watched quite a few of boxing, and UFC.
Apparently, DAZN, when it first came out, it's like, I don't think it's going to make you sound really old, but very quickly. I remember when Apple first did laptops without CD drives, and I was like, why the hell would you buy one of them? You can't watch a DVD, when I was at uni. And then obviously every single laptop now doesn't have a CD drive on it. Whereas I think with DAZN, apparently when that first came out, they did a bit of boxing and that was it. And everyone laughed at them, saying, why the heck would you pay for this? But they obviously saw the growth of boxing, but other sports as well. And I think they could be a big, big player, bigger than certainly BT, pushing Sky in the next few years. So hopefully they will maybe pick up some of these other leagues like Portugal, Italy. Even, to be honest, there's no real reason why we don't show the Scottish League. I know it's in the summer, so it's slightly different, but it would be quite good.
It wouldn't be I like coffee, would it? We wouldn't say we go Portugal. Literally, I like coffee just supported Portugal the entire Euros. I absolutely loved it. But yeah, I think the problem is, especially when you're looking at like the men's football itself, it's like it's hard to watch the Portuguese league as it is. Literally, I have literally put a tenner in Bet365 to watch games. That's how hard it is, and I think for me is I don't think altogether the actual country itself doesn't have that recognition for football.
Yeah, 100%. I think as well. I think if you look at like when it starts with the season, you have your France league for the men's anyway. You have the French league, you have the German league, you have obviously our league, you have the Italian league, all shown on BT and Sky. And there's nowhere that you will be able to see Portugal's league or any of the others, unless they are in Europa League Conference or in Champions League. So for me, I think it needs to start like Andy was touching on. DAZN are hopefully going to end up picking up more leagues, but they've got to probably do bids with other channels to be like, right, we're going to take it off you, so it's not going to be shown. And because it's like, not obviously now it's not going to be free, you're going to have to pay for it. Is it like, with it being the first time, say Portugal, it's going to be the first time. If it's going to be the first time for Portugal, people aren't going to want to pay it unless they know how good the league is.
What is
so
it?
you want to go for free first time, where it like Atta is now. But then obviously if it gets that following, like the Italian league has done, like the Spanish, the French, when they're getting that following, then maybe have maybe have it on that platform where you are paying. I'm hopefully going to get it in August, because then at least then it'll be that year where we can do the knockout rounds, and it's more so it's for that, because it does cost a lot of money. But if you're going to watch them leagues and them matches, then it's definitely worth it. So it's one of them. Obviously it's going to be hard to obviously watch other leagues if they're not going to be on Danzon or on Atta. But like Maisy said, the only way we've been able to watch it is via either a betting site where you're having to put money in and do that odd bet on the game so you're able to watch it, or you find a dodgy stream, because it's like the games, like the England games or the United games that aren't shown on TV. You are able to find that dodgy site, but it's not that easy anymore because they are trying to clamp down on him. So it's just, hopefully there is going to be that aspect where Sporting Lisbon, Benfica are going to get shown, and the Portuguese league is going to climb up that level to being shown elsewhere as well.
Yeah, as I say, I don't think I mentioned it to you guys, but I have actually now joined DAZN because I was a member of NFL Game Pass, and that was 150 quid a year. So the fact that DAZN are folding it in for 100 quid a year and it covers the women's football are happy days for me. So I had to do it slightly earlier than I'd want to do. As you say, August probably makes more sense. And there is some utter weird stuff on there. I'm not even joking. Chess is on there. Trust me. Women's American football, which is not even something that I knew it existed, but it's very much amateur. And some really random sports. So I think most people do end up. It's like anything. I mean, if we put on BT Sport now, if the champions, football's finished, so you could find anything in it. I think it is basic sexism, because I was just looking before, and the BT Sport, for example, recently have started to show the Men's Canada Soccer League. That's the men's football league in Canada. And other weird and wonderful rubbish like niche leagues instead of, the women's league. And obviously, it's been announced recently that a lot of people didn't want to pay, for the women's World Cup. There was a little bit of grandstanding by the guy who goes, "I feel Qatari." Yeah, that guy was a little bit showing off a little bit, but I think it's one of them. I think, there's a lot of issues with the women's game. Jamaica are having to crowdfund the money to go to the Women's World Cup. Reese might be interested in this. Germany, the German Football Federation, has refused to pay their players anything over and above the basic bonus they get off FIFA for going to the World Cup. So all they're getting is 30 grand. I say all they're getting. I'd take 30 grand for 2 weeks work for you know what I mean. But like they're not actually going to get a salary, whereas obviously the England players are going to get the normal fee for playing for England, which I believe is now harmonised with the men's fee, which I appreciate. The men normally give it away; they don't really take it, but it's the same for men for the Lions as well as the Lionesses, and the bonus that the Women's World Cup. The FIFA are going to give for playing in the Women's World Cup. But even Germany, who's been very, very successful in the tournament, are not paying their players anything over and above the bonus that they get for just appearing there, which I think is about 30 odd grand. As I said, so there are a lot of issues going on at the minute. They're being papered over the cracks a little bit, but it's a great product. And obviously we're going to go into the game we've got coming up this weekend, which will be interesting for many reasons, I think, especially if Georgia Stanway decides to. Maybe Myers just slipped through what I suppose would be a tenner, maybe €50 because she now lives in Germany, and just said, you know what, if I'm going to go all the way to Australia, I kind of want to play. So, just do a number on Greenwood. And then she did earlier in the week, and she's obviously gone, you didn't do it right. She's fine. So maybe more.
Oh, she's fit now.
Yeah.
She's fine.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Go on, what was you going to say?
That's fine. Go on.
I'll just say hello to people who's coming new into the chat. Hey there, Paul. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Hey there, Niall. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Hey there, I like coffee. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Marcus, hey there, Marcus. Hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. And WSL is amateur women's football. I feel attacked. Niall has asked, will women's football ever show the Scottish League on any streaming platforms? They show the 1000 Old Firm derbies per year. They show that.
It is on a channel, but we're going to see each other this weekend. And if you can guess which channel it's on, I'll buy you a drink. It is on a really random channel that they do show it on.
It's on BBC Alba.
Oh Christ, that's just cost me a drink. Yes, it's on BBC Alba, which is it's a Scottish language channel for BBC, which is the weirdest thing in the world. So basically, I'm sure Reese will just say this in the comments, mate. Not a vast amount of people who live in Scotland speak Gaelic, do they? So only the people that are in the sort of the Isles and the Orkney lot. But it's a language. It's like their version of S4C. So it's trippy watching it, because they can have an English co-commentator, but the main guy has to do it in Scottish or in Gaelic.
Yeah.
So you're watching the match, and you sort of obviously don't understand what you're hearing because it's a foreign language, and then you'll understand a bit because they'll switch to English for a bit. So then you switch back to Gaelic, switch back to English, switch back to Gaelic. And it's a bit of a trippy experience. But yeah, Reese will mention, I don't think many people speak. I might be wrong, but traditionally a lot less people speak Gaelic as those that speak Welsh.
I've watched a few games that were on BBC Alba, so that's how I know, because they end up putting it on the BBC Sport website, and then I think what they did last season was they actually put the cup final matches on Sky, because it was Glasgow against Rangers, I think, for
the BT do it.
I thought I think it was Sky. I think Sky got it. And I think so. Yeah, so I think they did the final day because it went down to the wire with Glasgow and Rangers, and then they did the cup final with them. So it depends, but yeah, BBC Alba. So go on to BBC iPlayer or BBC Sport, and then just keep your eyes peeled for the Sky and BT, because I bet they will start occasionally broadcasting the odd one on there if they can.
Mm-hmm. Hey there, Twilumbo. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. So we'll go through the England squad that's been called up. We'll just break it down anyway. So I've got it here from the England website. Goalkeepers: Mary Earps, Hannah Hampton, Ellie Roebuck. To be fair, it's expected, wasn't it, really, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, Mary, obviously we thought was a slam dunk, but apparently people are sniffing around her this season, so hopefully we can keep hold of her for next season. We've got an external, we've got an extension on it. Hannah Hampton obviously is very much cemented herself now as part of the England setup. Ellie Roebuck, it'd be interesting to see. Nobody would really know unless you're in Sarina's mind who's actually 1, 2, and 3. We all know that Mary's number 1, but who does she actually see as number 2? At the minute, I'd possibly say she might even think of Hannah Hampton. I know she's had her own wobbles, but Ellie Roebuck was a bit cuckoo for coconuts at the end of last season. So I, if anything happened to Mary, I would put Hannah Hampton in. I wouldn't necessarily go for Roebuck. Defense-wise, Millie Bright is missing Portugal game, apparently, due to injury. As I say, Maisy, Millie Bright is missing the Portugal game due to injury, but again, is going to be fine. So somebody's not... Lucy Bronze, Barcelona, Jess Carter, Chelsea, Neem Charles, Chelsea, Alex Greenwood, Esme Morgan, and Lotta Ruben Moy. Midfield, Laura Coombs, Man City, Jordan Nobbs, Georgia Stanway, Ella Toon, Kira Walsh, and Katie Zellum. Interested to see how Katie Zellum is now seen in the New England squad, because obviously it's a totally different squad from the Euros in relation to how many injuries we've had. Is she still seen as a bit part player, or is Sarina actually going to play her a lot more often? Has she got the Skinner bug a little bit? Forwards, Rachel Daly, Bethany England, Lauren Hemp, Lauren James, Chloe Kelly, Katie Robinson, and Alicia Russo. Robinson's an interesting one because people are suggesting until recently this week, when we were being linked today with a Brazilian from Barcelona, as a replacement for Russo, possibly because she has the most English sounding name that you can find, and we like the Brexit FC British names. And I know she's well fancied, but is she at the level yet to be world class, or is she going to be good in a couple of years? Don't necessarily mean that we don't need her yet, but is she another work in progress? It is quite an interesting balance here, and obviously what's not shown there, I think, is the Staniforth is in the training squad now, called up today, and Myla Tissier is probably the one closest to playing. I would say if Alex Greenwood injury gets worse, or if Millie Bright isn't fit, Maya's going to be probably, because they can sub people in, can't they, Chloe, and put in the first game.
Yeah, so they'll go to Australia up until the first game, and then once the first game's back, Lucy Stan, Maya will fly back if they're not picked. Millie Bright is out for the Saturday game due to still not being fully fit, because she's only just started fully training again, and they don't want to risk her getting injured. For me, in terms of the keepers, I would preferably put Hannah Hampton as number 2 behind Mary, just because of the way she played for Aston Villa last season. Obviously, Alex Greenwood, it looked a serious injury yesterday, but obviously she walked off. She weren't stretchered off. It's around a calf, so luckily it's not a knee. Because obviously when a player does go down and the hole in the leg, it's the first thing you think that it's the knee. But hopefully it's just like a muscle injury or something, or just a twisted knee or ankle. I'm glad Jordan Nobbs is getting that recognition, because obviously she's had injuries, or like in the past couple of times when it's been tournaments. In 2015, she went but was injured, so didn't play any of the games, or maybe played one. Obviously, the Euros she played in 2017. 2019, she did her ACL. Last year, obviously, she didn't play because she injured a knee again. So, fingers crossed, this can be a chance where Jordan Nobbs can show her ability. Yeah, she might not play every match, she might not start every match, but she's there for experience. She is one of the experienced players we've got, who have been to many tournaments, who's been there nearly a decade alongside Lucy Bronze. So it does make sense to have her in that league, to have her in the squad. And then obviously with the forwards, I think we're very strong up front. If you look, we've got Rachel Daly, who again, if needed, she can go and play in defence if Lucy Bronze or Jess Carter get injured, or Esme Morgan gets injured on the wing. So we have got that bit where we can say, right, Rachel, just go and play in defence for us. We just need you up there for a minute or something. But yeah, I think we're very tactical on the wings. For me, Katie Robinson, I think she is an upcoming talent. I think she's a player that it would have been like, for me, it would have been like Mia Letitia, where I would have took her with us to England, and then I would have took us to the World Cup, and then maybe flew her back, because she has got that many years in her still, and maybe have put in like Nikita Paris or someone more experienced, and then said, right, Maya, Katie, you've got many years ahead of you, but this is the taste of what's to come for you. And for me, that's what it would have been like. But I want to see Katie Robinson obviously play and do well, because again, she's been an excellent talent for Brighton and stuff. But I think we have got a strong team. We have, but it's obviously the injuries that we're obviously missing, the players that we're missing in terms of Fran, Leah, obviously Beth. So it's going to be interesting to see the difference from what the Euros were to what it is now. But for me, if we can get past the group stages and finish top, in my eyes, I think our best route to go through would be finishing top. I know that means if we win and then the other teams win, it would be Australia, it would be Germany, the likes of Germany, the likes of Australia in our path up there. But it's just what we've got to take. We've got to beat the best to be the best. And if we want to win the World Cup after we've won the Euros, then that's what we've got to do. And we've already beaten the likes of Germany in the final. We've beaten the likes of USA, Brazil. Yeah, we didn't beat Australia, but that we can't put that down to anything. Lack of concentration, maybe tired legs and stuff like that. So it all depends on how we feel after obviously this first game, if there's obviously any injuries, and if there is any last minute changes up till the first game. And obviously if not, then like I said at the start, Maya and Lucy Stan will be back on the plane and coming home watching the rest of the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree with what both of you are saying there. I do think, for me personally, people were saying in the chat they were surprised about Roebuck. Could Emily Ramsey could have really got there? Possibly. But I think the thing what really let her down was probably the injuries this season, and perhaps maybe the lack of experience, because she's only ever been in that England first team the once. As much as she's not going to get played, what you need to look at, what if a Netherlands situation happens in that World Cup, where which Carla Ward very cleverly took for Aston Villa as Hannah Hampton's replacement. I think the World Cup is a very hard place to really step up, and I think with the three of them got first team football, they've got, even though Hannah Hampton didn't play as a Euros game or a World Cup game, she has played against a very strong Spain side. What we went to in the Norwich games. So I think for me is I'd probably put Hannah Hampton as the number 2, just because I think she has had overall the better season. In terms of the back line, I think Laetitia was very unlucky not to get there. Just think for me is you're looking at a player who's got the most clean sheets in the WSL this season. They're one of the best players this season, and I think for me is you already know, for instance, she's not going to get ahead of Millie Bright at this moment in time. Sarina is going to play Alex Greenwood over Laetitia, and maybe even MUFCMais. So I would have actually took Laetitia as that little standby option, especially when Sarina has said that Laetitia can play in 3 different positions as a centre-back, a full-back, and a defensive midfielder. It's kind of like, are you not wanting to take the versatility with you? That's what I was a little bit about. But the midfield, I think Jordan Nobbs and Katie Zellum getting in there, I think both of them changing their positions this season to more defensive-minded, that's allowed them to get into that England squad. Because I think if they both still didn't if Jordan Nobbs stayed as a box-to-box and stayed at Arsenal, I don't think she would have got into that World Cup squad. And I think the same with Katie Zellum. If she stayed as that box-to-box midfielder, I don't think she could have even got into it.
Who do you think would have got into them positions if they hadn't changed?
It's an interesting one. I think what Sarina probably may have potentially done is to drop some players back. Because we already know Toon can play there in the midfield role, so she probably would have changed her. She would have put her in the midfield, and I think from what I remember, Katie Robinson can drop back a little bit as well. So I think that's what she could have potentially have done coming into the squad. But I think that would have been a very tight move. Alessia Russo. I think England need to update that to free agent rather than Manchester United.
Same with Hannah Hampton as well, because she's left Aston Villa.
It's funny. I mean, we'll obviously get into the more United stuff probably on a separate show, but it's funny about Russo because I'm sure the love hasn't changed for Chloe because she's very, very nice with everybody. But I must admit, I listened to an interview today, and it's already turning for me. I'm sitting there thinking, God, you're stuck up, aren't you? When I was listening to what she was saying about, not caring about, the talk about before the club and all that. I'm just focused on England and stuff like that. And there are other things that we all know about what happened with the Russo situation. But I mean, the most neutral thing I would say is, okay, you're playing with the big girls now. You're on the big stage. You're no longer super sub. You're going to be a starter. So are you going to score for England more than, are you actually going to step up? I think there's some various questions going off in the chat, but I think, there's no two ways about it. This is a much weaker squad than the one 12 months ago. But because of the injuries, no Beth Mead, no Leah Williamson, no
Ellen White.
Well, yeah, she was off gone anyway. But yeah, none of the sort of strength, just the strongest players of the squad. But this is maybe where people can stay up. I agree with what you're saying about versatility because there's only 23 players you can bring. But I'm thinking what we are going to need is guaranteed goals. And my concern would be if you bring Rachel Daly back into defence, obviously you're putting one arm behind the back when it comes to trying to score. I think it's not been the best preparation at the minute because apparently, if you believe what people have been saying, people are whispering, even though we've extended Mary by 1 year, people are whispering in her ear, so she's got calls maybe to deal with in her agency before she gets locked down with the World Cup. Obviously Russo's probably working out which mansion she's buying in London while she lives where plays for Arsenal. Lauren James, she's very good, but she doesn't play 90 minutes that often with Emma Hayes. Katie Robinson, she's got a lot of potential, but she's come from a club that just survived relegation. Chloe Kelly, all right, quite strong. Beth England's on form. Rachel Daly. I mean, the interesting thing about the weekend is going to see, it is like pre-season again. Who's on form? Who's looking like the badge fits? Or who's looking like the badge maybe is a bit big for them. And I think actually as well, because it is a friendly, you're gonna learn a lot about the character of the players. Because part of the back of your mind is this is the last hurdle. Get through this. I'm on the plane. I'm at the World Cup. Are anybody going to start pulling out of tackles to stop themselves getting injured? Are they gonna be like slightly reserved, or are they going to go full pelt and see what happens? I think Portugal is an unknown quantity, and it is quite a difficult. I was thinking about this the other day. The first game that we have at the World Cup is against Haiti, which on paper should be a cricket score, should be a sort of Latvia scenario. But is that going to be the best preparation to then suddenly start playing higher ranked teams in the next, as the tournament continues? It's going to be very, very interesting.
For sure. I just wanted to respond back to Jodie's comment. Nobody has said about Maya going over Alex Greenwood. Did any of us say that at all? Just to clarify.
No, we said that if Alex is injured, Maya would be her replacement.
I said it was unfair she didn't get in.
Yeah.
But I never said that she shouldn't be in there over Greenwood. That's something that none of the three of us have said. So I just wanted to clarify that in the chat because I don't recall any of the three of us saying it. All I said is that she's unfair not to get in it with the amount of clean sheets she's got this season.
Yeah,
and and obviously Millie Bright's health isn't up 100%, but she's going to be kind of captain, so she might. I remember, even though I have a light touch relationship with the men's game, if you are a captain, that is pretty much the one position they will take you if you're still a bit wobbly, hoping that you'll get your fitness for game 2, game 3 in the group stage. But yeah, no. At the end of the day, and it's weird about the whole making a flight to Australia. I mean, I know obviously she has to leave the camp before the first game, but you'd hope she's like allowed to watch as a fan. I don't think she has to like leave the country. It doesn't need to be that people make it sound like she can jump in.
It's basically you're allowed to take 2 or 3 reserves, and you can make changes in your squad up until the first game, and then after that you can't make any changes after it. So your reserves are done. They are done.
But she could sit in the fan surely she could sit like with the fans in the stadium.
What I've read, I think it's from Rich, or it might be from someone else, but I've read they fly to Australia. Obviously, I think they'll probably do a few prep games over there. They're there until the first game, and then they have to fly back. I think it's what the FA have said, or something. But I don't know. Obviously, you can't clarify
I
that.
appreciate you can't chill out with the. But I mean, it'd be I know that they can't be in the squad environment. Obviously, the big sort of elephant in the room is obviously the fact that Grandma's not come, and she wrote a wonderful moany article about woe is me, why she's not coming on the World Cup. So that's another interesting thing. Is that going to bite Sarina on the arse? Because I'm no fan of Steph Houghton, but I do appreciate she's got a lot of experience. So if we are going to have issues in defence, I already can hear certain Woso journos talking about, the fact that we've left her at home. But I think Sarina has picked the squad that she can pick at the minute. Yes, Nikita Paris might have had a better shout. She's losing a lot of experience with her, but I think she's picked the squad that she wants to win the World Cup with. And if we can't win it with that, we can't win it with that. Rather than I've picked every single player. It's interesting. I saw yesterday as well, just slightly differently, that FIFA have launched their update, which now includes the women's players, FIFA 23. And as I think of a bit of a sort of PR thing, they ran the algorithm, and I just wondered what you guys would think. Who do you think they had in the final for the World Cup final? They play obviously all the teams in the Women's World Cup, and they ran the algorithm. Who were the 2 final teams that they had in the final?
I've seen it.
Oh, you've seen it. I'll leave it with Maisy. I'll leave it with Maisy then.
I'm gonna say that they've probably gone for the USA and England.
USA and Germany.
So I was right with one of them at least.
So I wonder whether or not. So I think we are being obviously sniffed at. But then, USA, NWSL isn't as strong of a league as it used to be. Megan Rapinoe is 178 years old or something on those lines. A lot of their players are a bit older. Yeah, right. It's the Southern Hemisphere winter, but I think we could do all right with them.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about another elephant in the room regarding the squad, because it has caused a lot of debates on social media. Who should be the starting striker coming into the World Cup, and who should be the starting striker for the game coming ahead over the weekend? Personally, for me, I said Beth England, and that's nothing against Rachel Daly when I say this, because I've said if we didn't have the injuries the way we did, I would have happily put Rachel Daly there as a striker. The only concern is I think Jess Carter is the biggest liability in that starting 11 team. And I think that is where our biggest weakness is going to be, the left centre-back and the left-back role. I don't think Greenwood has a great connection yet with Jess Carter. I just think Jess Carter isn't good enough for me to be in that starting 11. And you've seen what Rachel Daly done in the Euros. I would take the risk, and I would do that. I would put Rachel Daly as the left-back. And I will personally put Beth England as the starting 11 player, because considering she's got over 10 goals in that very poor Tottenham side, I think that really speaks levels about her characteristics. And I think she was I think it was unfair in a kind of way. She didn't even get a single minute in that Euro competition. Because I think for me she's a deadly striker. And you're looking at, if you're gonna go off based off each player's forms, then would you look at as to say, Should Russo be a starting 11 player based off form with her only having 10 goals because she's got the least goals out the three? What's your thoughts, Chloe? Who would you put as a starting striker?
I think for me, based off the season, I would go as a 4-4-2 and put Rachel and Beth England on. Just because Rachel Daly's been since she started that season with Aston Villa, she's been non-stop brilliant. But with Beth England, she's turned it around in January from being a bench warmer at Chelsea to starting every game at Tottenham. It shows how much she thought in her head. If I can start games, I'm going to get into this World Cup. And yes, she didn't get called into the previous international camps, which I thought was a bit wrong because of the way she was playing. But it kind of showed her that, right, carry on being who you are, carry on scoring. If you keep doing that, Sarina will pick you for the World Cup squad, and that's what it has done. So for me, I would have gone as a 4-4-2. I don't think Sarina does it that way. So if it's only one striker, I would agree with you, Maisy. I would actually play Beth England first. And then obviously Alex Greenwood potentially being injured and probably won't play on Saturday, you might have that bit of who goes in defence. So you'd have Lotte and Neve Charles, and then you've got your Lucy Bronze, your Emsy Morgan, and your Jess Carter to kind of fight out your wing. Well, to fight out left back, because obviously right back is Lucy Bronze. So I would agree with you. I would put Rachel Daly there, even if it's just for the Saturday game, just until Alex Greenwood gets a bit fitter. And just touching on about Miller, what Andy said about being captain, and obviously taking the captain. I think if in my head, if I was Sarina, I wouldn't play Millie until we got past the groups. If we are that confident of getting through the groups, I wouldn't risk her until getting to the next round, because she is that vital. But maybe against Denmark, bring her in. But against Haiti and China, I don't think you should. Or at least against Haiti, I don't think Millie's, especially if she's not fit enough, I don't think we should start Miller. But obviously it all depends on how fit the girls are and who's obviously going to be in that starting 11. But I think Beth England would start on Saturday, but against Haiti, you might have Lesser, you might have Daly, but I think England deserves it.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Andy? Who would you put?
I think that Rachel Daly plays better angry. I think one of the reasons why she played brilliantly this season is that she's had to play good at Aston Villa to get game time. Now I know that is no longer a punishment. Now you see how obviously who's joined her and how Aston Villa is going to possibly even overtake us depending on what's going on, next season. But I think she's one of those people who plays where she feels that people don't respect her, but that she has a point to prove. And possibly with Sarina, what you might see her do is, as you say, play her in defence on the weekend. And that's going to annoy her because apparently she's naturally a striker. And then play her as a striker against Haiti and actually say, okay, fine, you prove it to me or whatever. I think the interesting thing that could happen is that Maya could obviously play on Saturday and everyone knows she's not in the squad. So what's that? So that would keep Sarina's powder dry about what's actually in her head for our defence. Does that mean that she will end up replacing one of the players, or does that just mean you could play Mayo on Saturday and then just play whoever against Haiti? I think that Beth England is probably the most experienced and dangerous striker that we have at the minute, alongside Rachel Daly. Obviously, Lauren James, is more of a forward, but again can also score. But yeah, I think you have to start with Beth England and possibly keep Rachel Daly maybe have Rachel Daly come and offer, as you said, if you're doing 4-4-2 or in defence. But I think she plays better angry. Yeah, it's a very good point. But to be honest, I've never heard a player go, "Well, I want to play in this position, and if you don't play me anywhere else, I'll go mental." They all say that to an extent. Hopefully, if it's true, then it's great for England, isn't it?
Can I just touch on? I think the only way Maya's going to play is if Alex gets withdrawn through injury. I don't think she's allowed to play on Saturday because she's not in the squad.
Doesn't mean anything. It's a friendly.
It doesn't matter. She's a reserve. She won't get picked
because Millie can't play. Well, Millie's not playing. She's out. So I know. We'll find out.
It's probably most likely going to be
because you'll have 11 on
Moy and Emily Morgan as centre back partnership.
I swear to God, we'd have to look it up. But we were at the Leeds warm-up game, and I swear somebody played that wasn't in the Euro squad, and they sort of made a comment about
because if you think you've got 11 on the pitch and then you'll have 11 on the bench, and it's always the third keeper that's in the stands because you can only have one keeper on the bench. So that, but I could be wrong. But I think if you think Millie's not going to be on the bench, she'll be behind, and then if Maya and Lucy are on the bench, then fair enough. But I don't think reserves are allowed. That's what they do with the men. I don't think they play the reserves. I think they're just there in case needed.
Yeah, I agree in that. I don't know. I think it's just a standalone friendly, hence why it's in England and not in Australia as well. But we'll find out on Saturday. I think Maisy might be doing a bit of a show, but I'll let you promo that.
Yes. We'll go into some questions and then we'll go from there. So, question from Rabbit: Are the Lionesses strong with what injuries? I think every team's going to be weak with injuries. There's no doubt about that. You're missing big players in the squad. Beth Mead, who was our top goal scorer in the Euros. You're missing out on Leah Williamson, who formed a fantastic partnership with Millie Bright. You are missing them type of players, but the thing is to be a good squad, you can't complain about the injuries. You just got to get on with it.
Yeah.
And that is something that Sarina has never once said anything about the injuries, complained about the injuries. She's just got on with it and just picked the next best replacement for her opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I think as well, on Saturday we're all going to be kind of watching through our hands, hoping and praying there's going to be no injuries. But it's football. It does happen, and like in the training a couple of days ago, Georgia Stanway and Alex Greenwood are just playing, and they go in for a tackle and catches Alex, and it's going to happen in training. It's going to happen in games, and injuries are part of the game. But and unfortunately, we've lost three of our big names in Fran Kirby, Beth England and Leah Williamson, and also lost two due to retirement. So it is going to be a completely different squad, and we're going to have more players retiring maybe after this tournament, in the likes of maybe Lucy Bronze and Jordan Nobbs because of the ages. But they could probably go on to play in the Euros. But that's what happens. That's football, and every team. At least every team who are in the World Cup has one player that's out fully that would have been in the squad due to ACL injuries, due to other injuries that have kept him out. And obviously the Ireland squad got announced today, and unfortunately Aoife Mannion didn't get picked for the final 20 due to injuries. And same with Leanne Keenan, who plays for Liverpool, but again due to an injury. She didn't get picked, and I saw on Twitter a lot of people were saying, why has Keenan not been picked? And people were having to say it's because she's not fit enough. And it just shows that even managers are thinking, even though they could probably get fit enough for the group stages or for further games down the line, they don't want to risk it. They're wanting to bring players that are fit enough for now. So it just shows that injuries aren't a problem with managers. They don't think about that, because we could have said, or Sarina could have said, right, Beth, be a reserve, be in that game, or she could have said, Beth, you are picked, but we're not going to play until after the group stages. It could have easily have been that way, because I think Beth said in one of her interviews that she's ahead of time, so she could have played in the World Cup, but because she's not had that game time, she's not been picked. So it just shows that injuries aren't on the mind of the managers as much as we think.
I think the interesting thing about this as well is that, remember, in the Euros, it was the home Euros, and I believe that they had family barbecues. The families were in. Now, obviously, some of the families will fly out there, but it is a different mentality. You are literally in camp. You are going to be with the same group of people for months. Obviously, they're already in camp now, and it is probably a different skill. So when you're not at home, when you go to sleep, your family, your loved ones, in some cases children as well, are going to be getting up. It is quite isolating, so it's going to take a lot of player management skills by Sarina. I think it's all going to be about. I mean, they say that with club management, don't they? Even your football genius Mark Skinner, he took his players for a week in Scotland because they like the sort of, we're close ranks, we have our team, we focus on our team, we just do our thing. And that's the sort of flip side that's a benefit for Australia and New Zealand. But it is going to be just, apart from the fact, we're all English, and they're going to be playing in late July, early August, and it's their winter. That's going to be weird. It's going to be dark early like it is in December. So, I think it's going to be about, getting the team together and getting, obviously, the right routines in place. And obviously, if Sarina does do it with that England squad, then she has to undoubtedly be considered one of the greatest managers ever to manage in the game.
Agreed. Hey there, MUFC Brummy Reds. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Hey there, Vincent. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. And hey there, Ashwin. Not seen your chat before, so really appreciate you coming in. Hope you are well. Twile Lumberer said, who would you start in midfield? A bit based off who's there, I'd probably say Kira Walsh, Stanway and Toon.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's that for me. I think that would be it. But I think if you are going to go for that experience and maybe have that experience in and go as a 4-4-2, you might say obviously having the wingers, so you'd have Georgia and Kira and then have Chloe and Lauren on the sides. But if we're going for the three, I think what you said, Maisy, Toon, Georgia and Walsh.
Do you have any other thoughts, Andy? Any other midfielder you play instead?
Yeah, I mean, the only question is about Tooney. She was knackered for us at the end of the last season, and she got her fitness back. What's she like? I think the thing about Sarina as well is that, because we used to bring her up as an example when we were talking about Skinner's tactics throughout the season, is that if she does what she does in the Euros, whatever team starts in the first game and on the bench in the first game stays as basically the team throughout the whole tournament. So it will be interesting to see, is she going to play around as much as you think, or are you going to see the first, are you going to see her World Cup, her strongest team against Portugal?
Absolutely. Question from Reese: are you confident in the England squad? I think it's the best squad we could realistically get.
Yeah.
Would you agree, Andy?
Yeah, it's the best we could do. It's one of those where, if it goes the way you want it to, then people are going to make names. But then did people outside of United know about Alicia Russo before she had a back heel at Bramall Lane? These big tournaments are the tournaments where people make their names. Let's hope to God that the geniuses who run our club, if Katie Robinson is coming to United, that has been done before World Cup. Because as much as we would like to, knowing our bloody luck, should be golden boot as we win the tournament, and then we haven't signed her, and it'd be like 4 times the price for when United come knocking to Brighton, But I just know what's going on with our club at the moment. But I think there's opportunity. I think there's opportunities for Katie. There's opportunities for Zalem, as much as it comes a bit unnaturally to me to actually say, okay, I'm here now. I'm a starter for England. No messing around anymore. Opportunities for Katie Robinson to make a name on the world stage. Opportunities on it for Ella Toon to continue her narrative of being one of the world's best. Opportunities for Alicia Russo to make herself a starter, a world-class starter for England. I think Mary's kind of already nailed down the number 1 shirt, so she's kind of already there. But, she's going to have Hannah Hampton nipping at her heels anyway. It's probably not as bad of a squad as it looks, but I do remember a lot of people said about our Euros team that we were pretty much the only team without injuries when we got towards the latter part of the tournament. We were very, very lucky about who was available, and that's not the case this year. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes.
Agreed. Do you have anything else to say on that, Chloe?
I agree with both of you. I think we have got a strong team. We've just obviously got to hope and pray about injuries and stuff, because it is part of football. Injuries are part of football, and like Andy touched on before, we're playing in Australia when it's winter, so over here it's summer, and it's the acclimatisation of them. So obviously that's why they're going over a couple of weeks early, to be able to acclimatise it as well, and to be able to maybe play a game out there for pre-season, or just have one behind closed doors where it isn't shown on TV. Maybe have that, but obviously we don't know until obviously it gets announced by England, by the FA. So yeah, I think we have got the strongest squad possible. Maybe Nikita Parris could have got in there, but I think from the season, I think we have got the strong squad.
Just looking at something here. This is off the Australian tourist thing, and it's actually quite interesting because it isn't as simple as we're saying. It says here the winter months, which for them are June to August. The winter months see an average temperatures that range from 11 degrees Celsius in the south to 30 degrees in the north. So depending on where we are and where we're playing, actually,
I think we're all over. I think we're even in New Zealand as well.
I know. I don't think we go in New Zealand because I remember a mutual friend of ours, Isabel, getting upset that she's not going to see them because she's in New Zealand. I think we've got an Australian path all the way. But it'd be interesting to see if you're going to be playing game 1 and it's going to feel like winter. Game 2, you might feel like spring. Game 3, depending on where it is in Australia, it might feel like home in July. So it's just going to be interesting in that respect.
Yeah, we'll finish off with Ravi's question. Who do you think in the England squad will get the most assists? Personally, for me, I think our wingers are extremely greedy. So I'm actually, as much as I'll criticise this player this season, I'm going to go Ella Toon as the highest assist maker.
Yeah, I think Ella Toon did really well in part of being in the sort of squad with Leslie, like she is this time in Euros. I think she likes going away with the squad and being away in the environment, and possibly that's at best how she plays. So she probably will do. I think only other alternatives you maybe look at depending on where she plays. Look at some of the forwards, maybe Lauren James, but she's a bit greedy. She's always been greedy.
I thought that.
Very,
and Chloe Kelly is and Lauren. They're all very greedy.
Yeah.
For my pick, I'm just thinking of wing backs, because obviously with the passing on, Lucy Bronze maybe for the crosses, even Georgia Stanway. Because she can get them through balls. I think she can get the through balls through. And then obviously, I think that depending on who's playing, because we could say Lauren James, but she's not. She might not play every game. Maybe Lauren Hemp. That's my other one. But yeah, it probably will be Toon.
Well, let's just be thankful, right, that it's just been over a month and we're all clucking for football. And on Saturday, you've got a game against Portugal, and at the end, and in the not too distant future, we're going to have a World Cup. So I think that's really good. But I agree with what Chloe's saying. I think I think it's interesting for England because I think we got such a boost from the World Cup, from the Euros. I think even some of the more mainstream journos now are finally on top of England. They're still not used to the concept of people playing for England and winning things. And if we do well in this tournament, then it's going to be really good, I think. I'm looking, to be honest, and as someone who's interested in football and specifically more women's football, I mean, you look at the Prem back in August. I have to wait till mid-September. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing some of the more weird and wacky teams. Your China, your your reggae girls with Jamaica. You know, it's just good to watch football and to see how people are and how people are playing, because it is slightly different from the men's team. You know, Brazil in the women's game is getting better, but it's not Brazil in the men's. Germany in the women's game is Germany in the men's. So there are some that match across, others that don't. And I think it's gonna, it's all free to air. It's on BBC and ITV, and it's gonna. If you are thinking I'll give it a go, if you're bored and you don't want to watch whatever else is on in the middle of summer, give it a go, and you might find that you get the bug like we've got.
Yeah, completely agree. What's your question before we wrap up, Chloe?
So this is a question for you two and for the chat as well. Who in the World Cup? Who do you think are the underdogs?
What you mean in the sense of teams that realistically could win it? But
basically, who are the who in your eyes do you think are the underdogs and maybe have chances?
I'll say mine first. I'm always gonna go for the host, and I'm gonna say Australia. Yep. I always do seem to find, minus Qatar, that when they do host a country. Well, when a country hosts, they do tend to play very, very well in the actual tournament itself, probably because they're used to the climate and they've got the team well prepped, blah, blah, blah. But I do genuinely think that Australia do have a great chance because they've still got some great players in there. And they did look very good against England. So I think for me, Australia will probably be a dark horse. What about you, Andy?
That's a good shout. I wouldn't have thought about that, but I agree with you completely. Home Euros, if you look at it, World Cup, if you look at it pound for pound, very strong team. Sam Kerr, Kylie Simon, some of the other players on there. My first country that came to mind, which kind of might surprise Chloe a little bit, but it's because I know they haven't taken all the 15 back, is Spain. Leaving Panos out is a big call off the biggest man-child in the world, Jorge Vilda. It's a very big call because I think the keeper that they've got is from Real Madrid, isn't it?
Yeah, but they didn't leave Panos out. She turned it down because of being 15. Yeah,
but she didn't clearly stay, but that's interesting. But it was just because some of them came out, didn't they? Like Mappe came out. But if not Spain, you see the one that like if you look at it on paper and you just gave somebody stats and you said, right, look at all these players, look at all these teams, who do you think? Would be someone like Norway with Hedenberg and Barisa and all these kind of stuff. But they always fall on the backside when they're in an actual pressurized environment in the tournament. But pound for pound, as a team, you could say Norway if they got the right belief. But I think the first time that they get put under stress in the tournament, they're going to have flashbacks to Brighton when they got spanked by us. So I think that they're a little bit like England men's team more recently. They're on paper should be really good and actually aren't. What would have you said, Chloe?
Mine was going to be Italy or Spain because both Italy and Spain and obviously and Australia are still, they've announced their prelims squads, but haven't announced their official 23. Australia are announcing theirs on the 4th of July. And Spain and Italy are both afterwards. So obviously them teams haven't been officially announced yet. They've just officially announced the prelims, but they will announce their 23 after the pre-warm-up games. But yeah, mine would be Italy or Spain. But like you said, Norway's a good shout if they've got the right mentality.
You know, though, I would have backed Iceland if they was in it, but you know what? They're not.
But you did have a Portugal shirt, so I don't know if you're going to be wearing that on the weekend.
No, I won't
Maisy,
be wearing that on the weekend.
What's your thought? Quick one, Maisy? What is your thoughts on Portugal's group in the World Cup? Do you think they could progress?
It is their group.
I'll find out for you.
In their group, it's USA, Vietnam, Netherlands, and Portugal.
That's a rough.
They're out.
Yeah, USA and Netherlands. I think I would like to see USA kind of have that battle, because obviously in the previous World Cups they've not kind of had that competitiveness against them, and now they've not got that much experience. They could potentially have a good fight in their hands, especially with obviously USA against Netherlands, a rematch of last year's World Cup, last time World Cup.
Just interesting couple of groups, I think. Group A is New Zealand, Norway, Philippines, and Switzerland. So that's quite good for Norway. And Group H, Germany, Morocco, Colombia, and Korea Republic. Well, obviously Germany, but who's going to come in second?
What group's that?
H.
Be interesting for sure. We'll wrap it up from here anyway. Thank you both, Andy and Chloe, for coming on. It's been a great show. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been good to do it again, and always good to chat to you, Maisy.
Yeah.
The reason why I screamed, by the way, like I had like an ant crawling on me, and I didn't know where it came from. In case you wondered, why did you scream? I literally just felt it crawling on my arm.
I think your internet covered it. Don't worry.
Oh,
yeah,
great. So thank you again, Andy. Would you like to shout out your socials and your score prediction?
Hard, obviously, because it is a friendly and people are going to be testing stuff. I think especially because the last game, technically, England played, we lost. We do need a win, as bizarre as it sounds, as much as Sarina might say otherwise. So maybe a nice 2-0 would be nice. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring. Portugal are better than they were in the Euros, and they weren't that bad then. And obviously, at the minute, my socials on Twitter mainly is at LJO_87.
Thank you so much. And Chloe, would you like to shout out your socials again? Thank you again for coming on. And your score prediction.
Yeah, we'll do. Thanks for having me on, Maisy. Fantastic podcast as usual. I really enjoyed it. My score prediction is going to be 2-1 England. I know obviously we've not touched much on the game or on Portugal, but Jessica Silva is there.
Anna Vargas.
Yeah, especially Jessica and Anna Vargas. They're definitely the players to look out for on Saturday. And Jessica De Silva, I think, will probably score against us. So, yeah, 2-1 England. My social is Chloe Riley 14 on Twitter. And I look forward to being on another one soon.
Yeah, I look forward to it for sure. I'm going to go for 3-1. I do think we will concede. However, I do think we'll hit them on the corners pieces because Portugal are very weak in them areas. So thank you both for coming on. Hit that like, share, subscribe. I will be live now at 8:30 for a player profile stream for Shola Shortire. Got a Bolton fan coming on for that. I've got my transfer show with Tom on Friday, and I've got the watch along coming on Saturday. So go and check that out. Thank you all for coming on. Have a lovely night, everyone. See you soon at 8:30. Bye bye.
See you soon.